This time, story courtesy the Punch newspaper. Ortom attacks Mohammed, calls Bauchi Fulani terror member. Ortom attacks Mohammed, calls Bauchi governor Fulani terror member. Well, here's a bit of that story. Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom on Monday said he remained convinced that his Bauchi State counterpart Bola Mohammed is a member of Fulani terrorist group terrorizing Nigeria. And Governor Ortom, who said this during a press conference in Makadi, also cried out that his life was being threatened by his counterpart's outburst. Now, he said the Bauchi governor was part of the conspiracy against him, adding that with the manner Mohammed was attacking him, his life is no longer safe. The Bauchi governor had criticized Ortom when he accused him, that's Ortom, of creating bad media campaign against Fulani ethnic group, stating that the situation had worsened the herder farmer crisis. Mohammed had further accused Ortom of criminalizing the entire Fulani across the country. Ortom, who reacted, said with the continuous support of Fulani herdsmen, his Bauchi counterpart, quote, is one of the Fulani terrorists that have invaded the country and terrorizing innocent Nigerians. He asked his colleague in Bauchi to go back and study his oath of office, asking if the oath of office he took did not tell him that he should protect the constitution of Nigeria. And he goes on. Well, joining me right now in the studio to discuss this, and I'm asking primarily, how did we get this low, degenerates thus far, as far as addressing these matters related to insecurity in the country? I have as a guest today, Olalekan is editor with the Independent Monitor. Lekon, good evening to you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening, Dayo, and it's good to be here. Quite some time, really.
Absolutely.
I doubt we've seen this year.
I do not think so as well.
Okay, so let me wish you Happy New Year then.
Happy New Year to you also.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's get into let's get into the conversation now. And I'm asking this because hearing these two governors having a go at each other, and as I said earlier on when the show started today, when I was mentioning that this topic of conversation, and I, without being offensive to members of the Free Readers Association who gather at popular sports to catch up on the municipal headlines and argue and engage in shouting contests and even breeding and spreading ignorance many times you hear what the arguments are. The governors, whose job it is to figure out these problems, to figure out solutions to these problems, have more or less completely degenerated to nothing more than members of Free Readers Association who talk like they have no information as to what's going on and simply argue, and the motivations are the most mundane things, or the most mundane motivations, as we have in this case right now, which has become an ethnic, is been given an ethnic coloration, is Fulani this against Fulani that, when the matter obviously has nothing to do with it, where anybody is from. How did we sink this low?
Well, I think it will be difficult to, maybe put everything together and say, look, this is how we got to where we are at the moment. But I think we must also look at it from the context of failure of leadership. These are two leaders of their states. These are leaders in Nigeria by virtue of the office they occupy. And you wouldn't expect them to, go this low. The insecurity in Nigeria had been coming. It's gotten worse in the last 2-3 years. You understand the background of where the Benue State governor is coming from. They've had the issue of, of course, farmers and herdsmen. Benue people are largely farmers, and you understand that. The share boundary, interestingly, with two states that have a sizable Fulani population, that is Nasarawa and Taraba. So you understand what went on when Benue State government Benue State government became the first in the country to introduce the bill against open grazing and all of that, on an attempt, to curb the incessant, killings in Benue State as at then. And you would rather think that having been able to do that, we'll be able to, go on from there. I think Ekiti copied what happened in Benue. One or two other states also did that. You would think that, look, the federal government, if the federal government was sufficiently proactive, would have been able to nip, this in the bud. We flirted with the issue of Ruga. We flirted with the issue of ranching, the issue of how to stop, people moving cows from north to south, south to north, every season had been on the table, not just in this republic. It's been there since independence, but we've not just been able to put our acts together. So you understand how, we've degenerated, to this extent. But I'm particularly surprised that two key figures, in this present republic of the same political party, for that matter, are doing things that can inflame, the country. Remember that the Benue people are majorly TV and Idomas, and they have boundary with Nasarawa, they have boundary with Taraba. These two states have sizable Fulani population. Their utterances can inflame, can cause unnecessary crises between these ethnic groups. We don't need what they are saying at the moment. This is not what we should be hearing from the mouth of the governors of the two states. We should rather be thinking of a way forward. What we should be hearing from them is the governors, particularly the governors from the North Central. Unfortunately for Bauchi, governor is in the Northeast, but he shares boundary with some states in the North Central, especially Nasarawa. Bauchi has a boundary with Nasarawa State. What you expect at this point in time is how these state governors can come together, look at areas, areas that they found common in terms of insecurity, how they can arrest this and ensure that the people at whose behest they owe their commonwealth are able to enjoy, the dividends of democracy and all of that. So what you are saying at the moment is utterly low for me,
how are they not able to simply come together and fix this? How? And it's not just Ortom and
Bala Mohammed.
Exactly. I mean, how are all the governors? I mean, they hold these meetings, NEC meetings, and all kinds of meetings discussing how to, allot billions of naira to this and spend on that and this infrastructure. Why can't they simply discuss and work out solutions to this crisis?
The word that is even more surprising to me, Dayo, is that the party on the platform, both of them got into office. I've not been able to wade into this. A proactive party, a proactive leadership of PDP should have waded into this. These are two PDP governors. These are, brother governors. I expected that by now, the People's Democratic, the leadership of the PDP will have called these two governors. This isn't just good. It's not just because you are members of a political party, but because you are leaders in your own right. You lead people.
But pardon, doesn't that raise questions as to the level of their brotherhood, really? I mean, not until just a couple of years ago, Ortom was in the APC.
Yes.
Was simply for convenience sake, he ended up in the PDP.
Yeah, I think they are vehicles. Political parties are vehicles through which you achieve your personal ambition, which is why you have politicians who can change from one party today, the day after it changes to another party. 4 days later it changes to another party. So in the course of 1 year, you see one politician that has gone to about 5 or 6 political parties. Those are all for personal, ambitions and all of that. So but I'm saying, look, if the party is able to rein in, because the party is supreme, they contested this election upon the platform of a particular political party, and that's why the party leadership should be able to wade in. These are brother governors. 1, 2 is that they are members of the same political party, so you expect that on leadership of PDP should be able to bring these two governors together and say, look, this simmering or this back and forth, between the two governors can have a ripple effect between the Northeast and the North Central. This isn't on one hand. On the other hand, it's also the Nigerian Governors Forum led by the governor of Ekiti State. What have they been able to do? Watch two governors dance naked in the public. There has been the idea of by Ortom for Nigerians to carry AK-47 following the insecurity about farmers, herdsmen clashes and all of that. You've heard the statement of Bala Mohammed saying, look, all the forests in Nigeria, belong or do not belong to, the governments of those states. It belongs to everybody, or the Fulanis have the right to move from one place to the other. Ortom replying, Bala Mohammed saying, look, Bala Mohammed is part of a terrorist, Fulani. That doesn't just make any sense whatsoever. A criminal is a criminal. There is absolutely no need for us to ethnicize anything that is criminal. There are decent, responsible and engaging Fulanis who are contributing their quota to the development of Nigeria. For some of us who attended university, attended federal government college, we have friends that are Fulanis, and it's hard to imagine your friend, somebody you've known for 20, 30 years, and we now begin to suspect them, these are criminals or they are terrorists and all of that, and coming at the level of a governor, makes it even more demeaning, for the office he occupies. And of course, for Bala Mohammed too, to also continue to throw jibes at the governor of Benue State. And you wonder, what is the problem between the two of them? Interestingly, Benue and Bauchi do not even share borders. That's the interesting thing. So what's really the problem between the two states? From Benue to Bauchi is quite a long distance. If you are going to go to Bauchi from Benue, you probably have to head to Jos. You have to head to Lafia. Even Benue and Plateau State do not even share border. So you wonder, what is it that they had something even before they became governor? Or is it that there is an unfinished business between the two of them and they are now transporting it to the office they occupy? This isn't just good at all. We already have sufficient insecurity problem in Nigeria. And to now have two governors, one belonging to the Fulanis, the other one belonging to the, I think the governor of Benue is a TV man. I think, yes, Ortom is a TV man. And we can't have this kind of altercation at the highest level at this point in time.
You've talked about leadership repeatedly in the course of this conversation. Might that be the reason, or lack of it, as the case may be, for the sudden, or might that explain the sudden rise to stardom or fame, if you will, of a certain Sheikh Gumi? Because prior to a few months ago, I don't think I'd ever heard the name before. He may be an accomplished man, but in his own right, and may have done some great stuff. But prior to a couple of weeks, a month ago, I'd never heard the name. Now he's arguably one of the most talked about persons in the country, and he meets with so-called bandits. He holds meetings with them. He's, in quotes, negotiating with them, even though somewhat unofficially on behalf of government, because the government has not announced that it's negotiating or speaking on their behalf. And you have headlines such as killings by bandits, mostly accidental, credited to Sheikh Gumi. You have headlines like insecurity, Fulani headsmen aren't bandits but militants fighting ethnic war. You have Sheikh Gumi saying that, is it a lack of this lack of leadership or government, addressing this matter frontally, that has led to the rise of the likes of Sheikh Gumi? And then we have the guy in Sunday Gogo,
yeah,
exactly, and the likes of those who are rising up right now and literally, in a manner of speaking, taking the laws taking matters into their own hands.
I think that if we say the security architecture of Nigeria has broken down, I think it will just be an understatement, really. I think at no time in Nigeria's history have we had this kind of insecurity in virtually every part of the country. And that, I'm sure, I think sometime last year I was here too when Samuel Ortom talked about Nigerians being permitted to carry AK-47. And I said it on the program that I said, look, Nigeria is not yet matured for us to carry AK-47. So you can imagine if we all had access to AK-47 by today, Dayo, you think we have Nigeria? I
think there'll be a full-blown war. Right?
Of course. Because when you say Nigerians should carry AK-47, we have, according to what we've been hearing, about 200 million, in terms of population. Let's assume that just 50 million Nigerians have access to AK-47. That you are starting a full-blown war, because there is no, what weapon do you have that is greater than, AK-47? So you bring it down to where we are at the moment. Agitation from almost every part of Nigeria, the issue of banditry, the issue of Sheikh Gumi coming into the picture, Igbo coming forward to say, look, he's ready to defend his people against criminal elements in Oyo, in Ogun State, and all of that. It's clear that this is just breakdown of Nigeria's security architecture, and we don't seem to be able to have a handle on it. And that's the number one priority of every government, ability to ensure that we have a secured, Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I'm wondering why we've not had an emergency as at now. I think we should be having practically all of the leaders across Nigeria, the National Assembly, the governors, the presidency, anybody that can be anybody in Nigeria. We should be sitting on the round table by now and begin to profile solutions going forward. It's no longer funny, where we are today in terms of insecurity. Look at what's happened in Niger State. Of course, you expect that people naturally will come into the fray. if the government of the day is not able to ensure that we have adequate security, naturally you have people who are merchants, in this kind of business. You have mercenaries. You have people who will probably have genuine reasons.
Allow me come in here, Lekon. You talked about merchants of war. You talked about mercenaries.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it that there are individuals pledged who might be or are definitely benefiting from the catastrophe that we're dealing with. It's also very easy to say that it's leadership or lack of leadership that's responsible for this. But why is government not even seen? I mean, it's one thing, for example, to send a strike force and then they get there and the strike force is defeated. At least you can tell the government did something. But it's not very clear what government's strategy is to deal with this situation. I mean, you have the same Sheikh Gumi again in this headline from the Vanguard saying, FG knows hideouts of killer herdsmen bandits, Sheikh Ahmad Gumi. It almost seems as if this is some kind of damage control, because folks have been asking the question, how is Sheikh Gumi able to locate these bandits, hold meetings with them, negotiate with them, come out to tell Nigerians what they're clamoring for, and explain that they are not actually bad people, they're just people who are being misunderstood, and they even kill people accidentally, whatever that means, by the way. But explaining that the federal government knows their hideouts, but it does raise questions as to why the government is unable to decisively deal with this issue. Could there be some clandestine reason, whatever those reasons might be?
But I think one of the problems we have at the moment in Nigeria today is that the Nigerian army is overstretched. I do not have the correct figures. I doubt if the totality of our armed forces, Navy, Army, Air Force, Police, Nigeria Civil Security and Defense Corps, I doubt whether the totality of all these people are up to 1.5 million. I doubt it. I do not have the correct figures, but I so much doubt it. So let's assume that let's even assume that the totality is 1.5 million or 2 million. Are these people enough to even secure Nigeria? Do we even have the sufficient security men on ground to even help us contain the rampaging people? The Nigerian army is involved in practically every part of Nigeria. Northeast, northwest, north central. Just name any region in Nigeria. The Nigerian army is presently carrying out operations in each of the 6 geopolitical zones, in addition to trying to fight off external aggression. What does that tell us? It means that the Nigeria police force has failed. Either government deliberately failed the Nigerian police force, or we Nigerians don't even have our trust in the Nigerian police, or the Nigerian police has not positioned itself to be trusted enough to maintain internal security. Remember, it is the core responsibility of the police to maintain internal security. And of course, I'm sure you are aware that in the last 20-30 years, throughout the military intervention, since the return of democracy, have we funded police enough to even help us combat internal insecurity? You see, so if police is not able to rise up to its responsibilities, we are not giving army the core functions of Nigeria police, and we have overstretched the Nigerian army. So of course you begin to know people who probably have inside workings of the government, so they're able to know how many military or how many armed military men are in one particular location at any point in time. How are they even able to fight? We've had issues of course, foreign mercenaries coming into the country and fighting on behalf of some powerful people who just think they need to create, a sphere of influence, for themselves. So it's not a one solution thing. It's not just about the failure of leadership. Even though you could say, look, it is the failure of the leadership that, of course, that has also led to the police not being well funded, to the Nigerian armed forces not being well funded in terms of weapons, in terms of recruitment. When last did you carry out major recruitment in the police, in the army, in the air force, in the navy? So as of today, if we are looking at issues that can help us go forward, is to first of all recognize that, look, we have this problem. There's no need. Everybody in Nigeria knows that at the moment. So how do we go for solving this problem? We need to get more men into the armed forces. We need to invest more. And I've said it even on other radio programs. Look, for the United States as an example, the GDP of United States is about 22 trillion US dollars. That's US GDP. Each year, US spends nothing less than 20% of its GDP on security. That's one of the most advanced nations in terms of military warfare. But every year it spends nothing. So you are talking of US spending nothing less than $4.2 trillion on security alone. Let's bring it down to Nigeria. Our GDP is just roughly 500 billion US dollars. How much do we spend on security every year? Probably less than 5% of our GDP. So we are not even even with the ones we have at the moment, are we even funding it well? So we should be able to have a plan to say, look, in the next 5 years, we'll be spending an average of 10 to 20 billion dollars, on security, so that on security and hardware, software, hardware, recruitment, and all of that. Because if we don't wake up and arrest it as it is today, then we are going to have more groups, because the end of one will lead to the rise of another. I'm sure there are pockets here and there who are just watching development, and we suddenly wake up one day and say, look, let's take on the federal government of Nigeria. It's not looking any funny at all at the moment.
It is hard facts, 91.3 Nigeria Info and Hereford Harker, 24 to go before 5 p.m. A quick break. We'll return shortly. My conversation with Olalekan does continue. And when we return, you can join the conversation as well via the usual platforms. Please stay with us.
The night is almost done, but conversations are never done on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Join Jude from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Let's Talk weekdays.
Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria in at shops. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162. And let us connect you to your customers.
We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. In the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Hard facts with Dion.
You're welcome back to the Hard Factor 92.3 Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt. I'm Olalekan, editor with the Independent Monitor, is still here as well. Lekan, you're welcome once again.
Yeah, thank you, Dio.
The conversation continues as to how Louis sunk in our quest, or even a complete lack of quest, to address the security concerns in the country, especially the herders farmers clashes ravaging different parts of the country, even different regions as well. Well, the conversation stems from this headline: Ortom attacks Mohammed, calls Bauchi governor Fulani terror member. Let's talk about that expression, Fulani terror member, and then you hear the likes of the now very prominent Sheikh Gumi as well, saying that the bandits are not criminals. As a matter of fact, he's also said that the Fulani headsmen aren't bandits; they're but militants fighting ethnic war. So all of this somehow has been turned away from simply what it is, a battle for economic survival, and it's been somehow painted to be an ethnic situation. Some people are trying to eliminate an ethnic grouping. Some ethnic grouping are simply trying to fight for survival. And just when we were off a while ago, I narrated a story. I'll quickly go over that. How a friend told me she was in a taxi, and along the way, a herd of cattle blocked off the road. The herder, on seeing a vehicle approaching, moved his cattle off the road, even went as far as apologizing to those in the vehicle. And after the vehicle stormed off, conversation ensued in the taxi, and about two persons who were in the taxi was advocating angrily that the herder should have been killed for the mayhem that he was causing as far as they were concerned. I mean, how is this narrative helping this situation? And people at the highest levels appear to be the one even fueling the most this ethnic dissension and perception to this crisis.
So, I'm surprised when somebody says bandits are no criminals, except we don't know the meaning of the word bandit. When you say bandit, you must be a robber or an outlaw, and you must belong to a gang. That's what is banditry. There is no other word. The only other meaning I know of bandit is in the military, where instead of saying an aircraft is an enemy aircraft, you say it's a bandit aircraft. Of course, it's a military slang, so you already understand there's an enemy. The meaning of bandit is very clear in English, except there's any other meaning. So for somebody to be called a bandit, you have to be an armed robber, or you have to be an outlaw, and you must belong to a gang. So when you talk of bandits, it means bandits are a group of robbers in a gang. So there is no coloration. There is no other way Gumi can tell us that bandits are no criminals. Is it an adjective for good people? Or is it an adjective for freedom fighters? But we had freedom fighters pre and after the colonial era in Africa. They were never called bandits. So a bandit is against the law. It's an outlaw. So there are no two ways about it. So we need to first of all establish the right order. Do not color anything. A bandit is a bandit, a criminal is a criminal. Whether an ethnic group is now fighting for survival is arguable, Dio. I'm sure if we are to look at the population of Fulanis in Nigeria, there will probably be up to 40-50 million Fulanis in Nigeria. And I don't think the entire Fulani is fighting for survival in Nigeria. There is absolutely nothing like that. What we have in Nigeria are a group of criminals who are bent on terrorizing the rest of us that are Nigerians. A criminal is a criminal. Let us not say he's a Fulani. Let us not say he's a Yoruba. Let us not say he's a Hausa. Let us not say he's a TV. Or let us not say he's an Idoma or a Junkun. No. Or a Kanuri. No. A criminal is a criminal, and they must be so treated. If Gumi is advocating for amnesty, That is within the powers of the president of Nigeria to offer, whether to agree or not to agree. But of course, in recent history, we've seen situations where certain individuals have the listening ears of people who think they have been marginalized and they want to fight for freedom. So it's not new that we are having people in recent history worldwide who can serve as a go-between between a group of people who are disenchanted with the system and of course the government, who do not want to reach out directly, at least in the open, to this group, but they can go through normal back channels. Gumi could serve that purpose. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But it cannot go beyond the call of what it should do and begin to say bandits are no criminals, or a certain ethnic group is fighting for survival. Is rather trying to inflame, or is rather trying to incite, the Fulani people, because the Fulanis are not fighting for survival in Nigeria. They are not. They are well grounded, especially in the Northwest. The Fulanis have almost the majority of the population in the 7 states of the Northwest. So are they fighting for survival? They have governors, they have senators, they have House of Rep members. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is a Fulani. So the Fulanis are not fighting for survival. So let him not mislead or incite people against each other. So we need to establish that order. No ethnic group is fighting for survival, not the least the Fulani. So let's establish a clear order there. The rest is to look. While we are trying to find out what is the cause of what is happening at the moment, we also need to match it with our investments in security. We need to match it. Dayo, the truth is this: if we are to look at it very well, we do not even have the basics of what is called a proper policing system in Nigeria. We don't even have the basics. The basics, the barest minimum will be that we have a national data crime, we have a national data fingerprint laboratory, we have a national database of everybody that owns a car in Nigeria at the touch of a button. You know, for some of us who have been privileged to travel out of this country, sometimes when we make, I've always said in Johannesburg, there's what is called Johannesburg Metropolitan Police, and each car is fitted with a laptop. So that if somebody commits a crime, or a car commits a crime, or something happens, at the push of a button right inside your car, you are able to at least find out whether that person exists on a national data crime, or is a resident, or is a foreigner. You know, these are basic policing things that is even missing in Nigeria. So while at the same time we are trying to tackle the issue of insecurity in every part of Nigeria, how much of investment are we making? When last did police buy vehicles in Nigeria?
Join the conversation right now. The lines are open: 0817-923-0002 or 0003, 0817-923-0007 or 0009. We're live on Twitter and YouTube at Nigeria Info PH, facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH also. Hello, hard factor, welcome.
Well, good evening.
Hi, go ahead.
It's a pity that we've gotten to this stage where Nigeria is torn apart from all sides. My take on this is clear. It falls squarely into the lap of the president, of the commander-in-chief, who has remained mute. I mean, despite the country that he promised to protect. I mean, this guy promised us change. And none of this is happening. He hasn't uttered a word. He hasn't reminded anybody. He hasn't said, stop this. Let someone come and talk. The man has remained quiet, cocooned in a rock. Then, Nigeria need to gradually get to a stage where this country will disintegrate right before our eyes. I see each of these regional armies in the southwest and all of that as some standby armies should it happen. Because if we continue like this, there's only one outcome: disintegration. And each of those regions have their standing army, guides as security outfits. The president needs to wake up. If he's tired, he should. I don't even know how they can impeach this man. Thank you, Dayo.
You're welcome. Hello, hard facts 913.
Dayo, good evening.
Hello, go ahead.
Yes, I use your best, Mr. Olalekan. My name is Kiki from Olalekan.
Go ahead. Hello, 913.
Hello,
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
good evening.
Hello.
Hello, Dayo.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. This is the only VIP on radio calling.
Go ahead.
I want to think that the Nigerian military is not overstretched. And I've had my reasons for that. I think the main problem is the deliberate failure of leadership, in securing Nigerian lives. For example, you ask your guests about governors going for meetings. Believe me, if you're going to go for meetings several times, if those in charge of commanding the military don't issue the orders for the military to go do their jobs, nothing's going to happen. Take, for example, at our own right now, in Imo State, the military is there, trying to raid the place of Eastern Security Network. Now, how many meetings did the governor take for the military to go inside there to raid the place? So do you have to go for meetings for the military to go out to fish the killer headsmen wherever they are? And I don't think Governor Ortom has said anything bad. He has said the things is how we should be. It's only that the Bauchi governor...
But you do have... But you do have... Hello, cool. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, I don't want to have a conversation. I was going to say, but I know that, and I do admit that we have issues, and that's what we're discussing, the issues.
Yeah.
But it might be a tad unfair to suggest that the military or the Nigerian security agencies are not also going after criminals. They are fighting Boko Haram. They also fight killer herdsmen. Members of our security forces get killed also. If they were not attacking criminals, would they get killed? So I think it's a tad unfair to especially members of our security agencies to suggest that they are not going after...
No, that we sympathize with members of the armed forces. You understand? They lay down their lives. While we sleep, they stay awake to ensure that criminals don't attack us. What we are saying is, do they even have the right equipment to work with? Are they well motivated to even work? What is their pay? How much do they earn?
No, I get that, Leko. I simply said against the backdrop of the last caller's
comment.
Okay,
of the last caller. Okay.
Yes, but also taking from what he said about meetings, and he suggests he believes that there's a deliberate attempt to not secure the lives and property of Nigerians. From that, I'll ask you this: is it not I'm not saying that there is, by the way. I mean his position, but isn't it in the interest? Wouldn't it be in the interest of even the political elite in Nigeria, assuming that some perception of Nigerians that we have largely selfish and greedy leaders? Even if we had the most selfish and greedy leaders the world has to offer, wouldn't it be in their interest to have a safer and more secure country?
It's absolutely in their interest. It's absolutely in the interest of every Nigerian to have a secured nation. In all situations.
How do we explain this?
Yeah, now, I think apart from the fact that we've talked about the presidency not responding, not being proactive enough, and not or should I say the federal government now, not investing enough in what is our security architecture, is also look at the role of governors. What do they do with the security votes that they have? What kind of investments have they also made into securing their state? What efforts have they also made, to secure their respective states, rather than running to Abuja every time, anytime there's a problem in their state, they have to run to Abuja to call on the president. Of course, the argument will be that, look, I don't control the army, I don't control even the police that is under my state, I have to go to Abuja and all of that. I think it's also to bring in the role of the governors into this. How have they been able to ensure a safe and secure places? Remember, politicians, especially before general election, there are some kind of boys, of course, they arm or they equip to win election, and after winning the election, to now control some of these boys now becomes pretty difficult as a governor. Of course, these are part of the reason why we've had even what led to the incidents of Boko Haram in the Northeast. Remember, a particular governor was accused of using these people to win election. After winning an election, it just didn't know what to do with them. Of course, they grew into a monster. So we also look at the roles of governors. So for political leaders or for leaders of thought in societies, how much more can they do than to call on the people who hold the reins of government? People at whose best, who at our best are in various leadership positions. The National Assembly, the governors, of course, the president himself. That's what leaders of thought can do. Appeal to these people, appeal to reason, appeal to tact, appeal to discerning minds. So say, look, this country is going down the way they've predicted it before. Look, Nigeria will not survive, the next 40, 50 years, the country will disintegrate and all of that. And we are beginning to see all of that, unfolding gradually. It calls for concern, really, and everybody, must begin to shout now. If nothing has happened to you, it doesn't mean you have been safe so far. It's just that, look, it's not gotten your way. Probably the day gets your way. That's the day you also learn how to raise your voice. So we must continue to have discussions like this. Call on those who occupy these positions to say, look, we need to quickly rescue this country. Otherwise, we'll be in serious trouble.
But on Facebook, Chioma Kinsley Woolley goes, the Nigerian government is Nigeria's problem. They left their duties, chasing shadows. May God save us in this country. Christopher Nwobi goes, thanks to the two PDP governors fighting each other over herdsmen. These are supposed to be leaders, but showing bad examples to their followers. Ned Argument goes, it's so shameful that the two men have decided to bring low the exalted office of the governor in Nigeria. Or is there anything we Nigerians should know? And via Twitter, or more precisely via WhatsApp, however. Let's see. Dire education is a problem in Nigeria. Any country that fails to invest in education must invest in insecurity. As for Gumi, when we said Fulanese have agenda, people in the media shut us down. If we have a functioning government, this man called Gumi should be rushed in jail by now. Good evening, Dai and Leko. Are you aware that the police station was overrun today in Aba? All operational vehicles burnt. Was in that later on, of course. But I mean, even that would not come as shocking news these days
at all.
If a police station is overrun by criminals.
Remember that at the time, I think it's a military training ground in Osa in Borno State was overrun, where policemen were being trained. Of course, remember that a lot of communities in Borno State particularly had a lot of police stations overrun because the criminals wanted access to, weapons, to arms and ammunition. And they think police station is the surest best for them to do that. So it's not happening for the first time. And that's why I said, Dio, do we even, and you'll be surprised, Dio, that if it is indeed true that a police station was overrun in Aba today, let's assume without conceding that it is true. Does that police station have a CCTV to even know who arrived at the police station? Does the police station have a CCTV? Because those are the basics that should be available at any point in time. So if assuming such a thing happened, by now we should be, looking at the footages of that CCTV. By now we should be able to, put pictures of some of the people that we saw, arriving in the police station. We should have their faces by now. We should be able to match their faces to a national database. To say, look, can we match this picture to anything that is existing on our national database? We already have the national identity number, driver's license, international passport, and all of that. So if I, as Olalekan, commit a crime and you're able to get my picture, the logical thing to do is to take it to your system and say, look, it's just a command. I need face recognition for this picture. And the system begins to boot. And within seconds, he's already telling me, we've seen this man before. This is his name. This is his address. This is the next of kin. This is his phone number. This is where he works. These are his friends. So you begin to, so that's what I'm saying, Dayo. Do we even have the basics of policing in Nigeria? If a police station cannot have a CCTV, functional CCTV, as basic as CCTV is, then how do you expect us to fight security in Nigeria, Dayo?
By what's up, good evening. The major problem in the military setup is corruption. Even when funds are appropriated to buy arms and ammunition, this can hardly be achieved. That's from James Benny. We have to wrap it up. We have run out of time. Thanks for joining the conversation, especially my guest, Olalekan, editor with the Independent Monitor. Lekan, always a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, Diane. Thanks for having me.
We've got the major news, the news updates coming up at the hour at 5 p.m. When I return, ex-service chiefs Burata and Co. have now become His Excellencies. They are now ambassadors. Are they qualified for this position to represent Nigeria's interest in foreign lands? When we return, we'll discuss that. Please stay tuned.